Hey everyone, this is Mary from Homegrown Learners, and I am super excited today to have our friends Mark and Steven with us. Mark and Steven, as you probably know, are the winners of Lego Masters Season 2. And so I asked them if they would come on and just talk with us. And you've given me some questions, and a lot of you have followed along for years as we have used Lego in our homeschool. So I just hope you get a chance to get to know Mark and Steven better, and I hope you're inspired, and I hope you also get some building tips for your kids. Okay, so let's just start. We'll start with each of you. Mark, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Right, so Mark and Steven, I'm Mark, I'm the older brother, and normally you could tell by the fact that I have a beard, but Steven has started growing one for us for Halloween costume. Anyway, aside note, I work at the Atlanta Brick Co., a Lego store here in Noonan, Georgia, and been there for a couple of years, really enjoy it, and yeah, really enjoyed Lego my whole life. Been very, very fun. So.
And you were homeschooled the whole time.
Exactly. I've never set foot in a public school except to teach a Lego class.
Really?
So yes, that was the only time it was a charter school and other schools we've been to teach Lego clubs and classes as part of Atlanta Brick Co. But yeah, so I've never been to a school, always home experience. Yeah.
So do you know how to open a milk carton?
I do, yes.
You do?
Smart,
Okay.
actually.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
No, it was challenging at first. I'm like, what is this? So,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, and Steven, tell us about you.
So I'm the younger brother. I'm usually clean shaven, but Halloween's coming up, kind of costume. I used to work at Atlanta Brick Co. But right now I'm a welder. I've been doing that for a couple of years now. But just like Mark, all three of us kids, growing up, were homeschooled. Spent most of that time in Florida, moved up here. And yeah, I'm really glad we were allowed to do homeschooling because we found out I'm actually dyslexic. So the school system is not very kind to dyslexics, inadvertently. So I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, and I'm also grateful because we have plenty of time to build Lego, which brought us eventually to Lego Masters. And yeah, I think that covers it. But as far as stuff going on, I'm planning on doing some online courses about Lego. But yeah, that's basically me.
Okay. One of the things, since this is a homeschool blog, is I wanted to ask you what your most fond memories are of homeschooling, the things that stand out to you the most. And as moms are watching this, a lot of them are worried about getting in the math, the writing, the science. Is that the kind of stuff that stood out to you in your homeschool experience?
I got one really quick. You first. Okay, so when I think of memory, it's usually of a very physical or three-dimensional construct. When like words, math, that kind of stuff doesn't stick as well with us. So when I think of homeschool, I think of what the space that we had and learning around the little square table in the refurbished garage with the window and the computer. So it's just like the environment that we were in and the creativity and the learning that happened in those spaces where we were taught. So that's when I pick up, and that's what really stuck with me. I use math and other things in my day-to-day life, but now that I'm 27 years old, the learning isn't as big. It's more like the time and experience we had as a family. So,
Yeah.
So it was the environment and the relationship
exactly.
that you had.
Yeah,
Okay,
one thing
what
for me, that's a good one too. But I love the unit studies we did.
Mm-hmm.
So our mom would say, "Okay, guys, let's pick a topic, and whatever it is, we'll learn all about it." So we're like, "Okay, how about chocolate?" And we're like, "Okay, let's learn because I'm just a kid. I just had a chocolate bar."
We did that too.
There you go. And we learned about cocoa beans. We went to an actual chocolate factory, not quite Willy Wonka's, but that sort of thing. Then we learned about like continents or something. Because if we couldn't think of anything, Mom would give us like some suggestions. How do we learn about continents? And sure. And then we did like a giant cookie that looked like Australia and a bunch of other fun stuff like that. It wasn't all centered around sweets, of course, but doing those unit studies, those physical things where we just take a subject and we just study it and have a lot of fun with all these different activities. Our mom was really creative. She really knew what she was doing, and she had all this fun unit studies laid out for us, the field trips too. I really remember those. Of course, you had the math and the reading, but the hands-on stuff that you actually made, it stuck.
And it was all like thematic, you know.
Yeah, very
just,
thematic.
Like we'd work on a particular thing and just learn all about
I
it.
remember we learned like bears and like continents and
Right.
yeah, like the aforementioned chocolate and a couple other things.
And we'll in day-to-day life we'll have these random bursts of knowledge in
That's
conversations.
right.
So people are like, how do you know so much about bears?
How do you know a polar bear is actually black with white hair? How do you know that? You know, stuff like that will just like come up. So it's kind of hilarious to see that. You know, I was called like C3PO at work. You know, everyone said, you know, like you have all this information, all this knowledge. Where do you get all this stuff? It really does stand out when you learn in that sort of environment.
Yep. So you had an interest, and your mom would just follow you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Or provide anything we needed for that interest.
Exactly. And that's a lot of what we talk about at Homegrown Learners is just following your child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you're talking about homeschooling and your memories, what's your first Lego memory that you guys
Would you like
have?
to go first, Stephen?
There's like two. So like
Okay.
the first Lego set we had specifically was one of the old Insectoid line. It's like a bug spaceship, you know. This is from the 90s. I also remember King Leo. I had a King Leo set that I loved to death. It was so cool. Like King Leo was the ultimate like
There's a little king, a guy, and a
little
tower.
king, a guy, like lit a tower, like really low. There's actually a dark spot in Lego's history where they were going through prefab. They were like the sets weren't very good, but I love them so much. Mark, you had one similar.
You were at a thought.
Oh, sorry, I thought.
Well, did you ask for the Legos? Were you like obsessed with them, or did your mom provide them for you one day, or do you remember?
It's a good question. We had a lot of toys. We had a lot of toys, most kids do. So we really enjoyed stuff. But the Legos stood out. Like, they started to outdo the other ones. Like, we had toy dinosaurs, but then they had Lego dinosaurs that came out. And they're like, okay, we can mix and match the parts now. So, yeah, that was something we absolutely loved. And then I think I'm going to steal one of yours.
I think it was basically like, we got a handful of Lego sets, and they were so much more enjoyable than any of the normal standard toys that we had.
We had
at
like
the time.
Hot Wheels and stuff.
Yeah, like Hot Wheels or like like action figures or something like that. But the Lego was just way more interesting to us because it had so much more intricacy and construction and
And they had
all
the
the
games.
Yeah, exactly. There was so much more
Right.
to it than just the normal toy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to give a shout out to this child too. I need to remember their name.
Sure.
Let's see. It was Noah. Noah's 14, and he wants to know if you ever got in trouble or were told, stop playing with your Legos. You need to do your school now.
Good question. That did happen. That was a thing. Kids, you know, that's just what happens. But yeah,
I have a specific example.
You do? Okay.
So, as in our late teens, we would get into building these larger layouts. We also started to discover the online Lego community and various contests that are hosted there. And building for those, we would spend literally like 10, 12-hour days just building on these creations, just going absolutely nuts and trying to build the coolest thing we could.
Mom was like, please get your laundry done.
Exactly. Very obsessive behavior.
Mom was like, please get your laundry done.
Yeah, please finish this. You know,
come on, guys. It's creative, but you gotta live too.
A little out of balance, but it was so enjoyable, you know.
But I think that's a problem that creatives have, is where to draw the line and to stop, to come up to eat or do your laundry.
Exactly.
Or things like
Take a
that.
shower.
Right. So and a lot of kids wanted to know how you got started in that Lego world. If they wanted to get started with becoming more of a professional builder, like you two are, what would they have to do?
Well, one thing that was really cool for us, because when you build Lego, it's all, you know, you take apart the sets and you have fun with it. It's very casual, I think is the word I'm looking for. But the moment we really took off was when we discovered the potential of Lego. And one of the areas was this book our mom got us. We saw it at the library, I think, and then she bought it for us. This thing has, like, you got the Empire State Building, you've got a bunch of incredible sculptures, probably done with software or other models at the time, but yeah. I mean, just look at this stuff. Like,
And now there's a lot of these books out there.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly, but this was one of the earlier ones.
You can get lots of these types of
books. And we got this, we ate this up. This is mini land scale, different sizes. Look, there's a sculpture, we have all kinds of crazy stuff. When we found out that Lego could do that, we were like, holy cow, the inspiration just clicked. And then we thought that was pretty like lofty. Like, who in the world would make this stuff?
Right.
And then we found them actually for real online through ClassicCastle.com, a couple other older forums back in the mid 2000s. Okay. And when we found out about that, we were just like, holy cow! We just soaked it up immediately. So a lot of it was just discovering the fact that it existed. As when you see the parts, you know, they're parts. But when you find out about these masters,
possibilities.
yeah, it really broadens your horizons like crazy.
So you said classiccastle.com. Is that still a site?
It is.
Mostly, yeah.
It hasn't been updated since 2004, so it's like really small on the screen, but it has some really fun little helpful tutorials and stuff like how to build Lego trees or landscape.
You wrote a few of those.
Some of those are links to our websites that we've done before.
Yeah.
It's a good place to get a little bit of inspiration from. And they actually post articles still on their main page, so you can see, I think they actually shared the fact that we won Lego Masters on there because we had taken part in some of those contests on that website throughout the years. So.
But more modern stuff would be like Beyond the Brick. They go to conventions and they show all these amazing displays. Very good source, Beyond the Brick.
Then you have the YouTube channel.
They're the big guys. They're the YouTube channel. Then you have on the blog section, you have the Brothers Brick, which are like you have Beyond the Brick and then the Brothers Brick.
Or Brick Nerd. We can get you a whole host of links to share.
Yeah, because they will go.
In the comments below.
Yeah, in the comments. So they will go and they will find the best stuff. They'll do all the hard work and they'll talk about it. They'll share creators' work. All with permission, of course. You know, they do everything right. But yeah, definitely that stuff.
Okay. Yeah, that was a lot of kids just wanted to know how they could get started. Caleb, he's age 12. He wanted to know any advice that you might have for a 12-year-old wanting to get better with their building.
So I've got a really good, this is kind of a high-level concept, but it works at the most basic level. And that is to be very, very intentional with your color blocking and choices of color. So if you're building something and it's a house, for example, make sure that you know exactly what color the walls are compared to what color the roof is or the door.
So planning.
Exactly. It's like, and choosing what visually it appears as. Because if you start building a house and use whatever pieces you find to make the walls, it'll look like a jumble of randomly assorted stuff.
That's okay, but there's more you can do.
Exactly. Make sure you know exactly what you're doing and why it's that way. So, yeah, especially when it comes to color and composition.
So, and you know, it's like when somebody is going to write a book or compose a piece of music. It's not like it just comes out of their head and they do it. There's a process and there's, okay, so to be intentional. Okay.
Exactly.
Do you have some advice?
You should probably look at the real thing. Like if you're thinking about making like a house or a tree or a castle or whatever, it's really nice to get source material. Go to the library. Get like if you want to make like a sculpture of, I don't know, if you want to make a mini Statue of Liberty or something. Yeah, mini Statue of Liberty. Look at the pictures. If you want to make a Colosseum, you know, you look at the pictures. Get source material. That really helps. And you can interpret that source. Don't copy things, but you know, you can interpret what you see and then you can add that to whatever you're building. So I would definitely, you know, when I want to build a tree, I go on a hike. You know, I go and I look at trees, I look at moss, I look at the ground, and I look at like, how can I change this into Lego? And that takes practice, but that's honestly a great place to start working.
And I know that you, through watching the series and through just hearing a little bit about you, I know that you like Muppets.
I'm so glad I'm studying all that.
Like that, and
that paid off.
That whimsical kind of stuff really showed up in your. I'm thinking of your gnome build that you did.
Yes, that was fun.
Okay. I was so glad to hear someone else. I wanted to be a Muppeteer.
When
I was in college, that was my dream, and I never made it. It's not too late.
It's the closest I ever got to being on the Muppet Show ever. Was actually doing it like a Muppet with Steve Whitmire not far away, and we were together doing that job and alongside, you know, such amazing people on camera on Fox, you know, doing a puppet show. Like that's the closest I'm ever getting to being on the actual Muppet Show. It's time for being a music show. Yeah, it's that close.
Right.
Oh, wonderful.
Was that your favorite episode?
It really was. That was my favorite. Maybe not almost my favorite challenge, except for, you know, the finale and the hats.
How was the best time on an episode? Right?
Everything went right. Everything went right. We had a celebrity guest. We had Steve Whitmire as the voice of Kermit the Frog. He was Billy Puppet, which is amazing. Then we had a great build. We got to work with a great team. Everyone would have been amazing, but it was great to work with Caleb and Jacob. And we had a great puppet performance, and then we won. Like, what else can you ask for? That was amazing. Except, you know, winning. But yeah, that was amazing. But,
that was my favorite. What episode number was that?
That was episode 8.
Yeah, episode 8.
Episode 8.
Yeah.
Was that your favorite, or did you have another?
I actually like the Hat's Incredible.
Yeah.
That was my moment to shine.
Can't forget it.
Stephen got to voice and kind of manipulate the puppet, but I got to wear the hat because my head is a few inches smaller
and we serve on parts. We usually say.
Okay.
Plus,
so you like the runway?
I enjoyed that for sure.
When we found out there was going to be a runway, we looked at each other and like, you know, have fun, bro. No way. Mark's got that wild side that comes out every now and then. The brown steel and everything. But yeah, you killed that, and we had a really good hat. We felt there's something like being dressed well for the occasion. And that was what that was. So.
And what as we look at all these bricks here, I mean, this would be any child's dream to have all these bricks. What was it like to have unlimited bricks? On the show.
Well, I guess I can dive into that.
Overwhelming, or
so it was really nice the fact that in that room, in the brick pit, there was amounts of pieces which you'll really never see that many pieces of that type in the same room ever again.
Colors, pieces,
like 5 million pieces. That's like more than double what we have here.
5 million.
Yes,
well over double. I'd say.
And we have probably I would say almost 2 million, but not. It's a rough estimate. Anyway. But the weaknesses would be that while you have an unlimited amount of the basic bricks, like 2x4s and 2x2s, you are lacking some of the detail pieces that we have gone out of our way to collect, like
especially outdated, out of production pieces.
Out of production pieces, certain plant pieces, like more intricate joints and stuff like that that we like to build with a lot. So you had to kind of adapt and use more basic elements to create things that were larger or more simple, but then do it in a way that's, you have to basically adapt to what they have versus using what you're used to. So even though there was unlimited pieces, you still had to really challenge yourself.
But it was so organized. That was so nice.
Well, yeah, and were there people, obviously, that would come in and organize the bricks?
Exactly.
Yeah, so you never saw them, but we had people coming in during filming, at any moment they could, restocking all the time.
It was like 40 people.
Yeah, restocking. They had lots of Lego off camera.
And sorting down the builds that were used in the previous episodes.
So they were working tirelessly. I don't know how many dozens of people were on that team, but they were doing a great job. So we could also kind of wave them down, like, hey, I need this many pieces for this. Like, okay, so they would run and grab some more if they had them. It might take maybe 15 minutes, but they could come back and get you some more parts pretty easily.
Okay.
So they were working really hard to make sure we had the parts that we needed with what they had. Near the end, it started getting a little scarce in some of the parts because they were backlogged for the sorting. So yeah, we had to be a little more strategic in some areas. But honestly, not much to complain about.
Well, another big question that some of the moms had was, what are some of your reading memories and what are some of your favorite books?
Exactly.
So do you just happen to have?
Yeah. Here they are. Funny, we're just talking about these.
What do you know?
So these are the older, what year is this? 2000.
2000. 21-year-old. Wow, I feel old now.
But these readers, oh my goodness, this is how my son learned to read, was just with these books. We didn't do phonics or anything. He just read all these types of reading.
And what got me into these was that they're Legos.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was a huge Lego fan in the year 2000. And
especially the Rock Raiders.
These are all Lego.
Exactly.
We found these at a Target, I think.
Not only are they just simple reading books, but they also have little fun facts and little bits of knowledge in there.
You have oars talking about different types of metals and stuff.
And
so educational too,
different things about medieval society forests in the Middle Ages. So this is just, we ate this stuff.
Hence your love of
All kinds of stuff.
Castles, Rock Raiders, Arctic exploration.
Yeah.
So these were our favorite books as little types.
So if you look here, the rock monster is attacking the slug, and in the corner there's a little article about slugs. So it's that's kind of how it works.
So these are our earliest fun memories of reading books, and they also nicely tie into our love of Lego as well.
So one piece of advice I'd have to give for parents and kids that don't like to read is picture books. If they don't like to read, that means they're visual, in my opinion. And when you start to read, you start to wonder what's going on around the pictures. Mm-hmm. So they'll seek it out for themselves when they want to know what the story is. That's how it was with me in comics like Peanuts and Calvin Hobbes. Calvin Hobbes, and on the Far Side too. A couple other, when I was older for the Far Side. But always get picture books if your kid doesn't prefer to read.
Yeah, that's how you figured it out.
Yeah, that was for me for sure.
And I think too that we think if our child's not an avid reader and always sitting with their nose in a book, something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they could just have a different strength. I mean, of course, you want to get it looked at if they're having trouble with reading.
Mm-hmm.
But they might just be a lot more tactile and visual, just like you guys are.
Yeah, it took me a very long time to become comfortable with reading. And it took a lot of books that were like that, very interesting. Like I also enjoyed G.A. Henty and other books like that. I immediately, I I had to finish that huge novel to figure out what happened to this character, So sometimes it's just the right subject. Sometimes it's you have to wait until they're ready. So sometimes just a little patience pays off. So.
What's funny on the flip side, though, I'm quite dyslexic. So I found out when I was 15. And I usually had books read aloud to me from Julia, or my mom would read books aloud to us, like Sherlock Holmes, which is amazing. But if I read on my own, I was reading Where's Waldo, which has no words anywhere.
And you have to find him.
Like, where is he? I would spend hours looking for characters and look at all the little stories, neat stories in this thing, because you could visualize what was going on. This guy's getting knocked on the head, he's falling off, and whatever. But Mark was reading G.A. Henry, I was reading Where's Waldo, and I was eating it up. But that just shows the contrast.
Did you find that you would compare? You wanted to be like your big brother, or was that not a thing?
Our parents, they did a good job discouraging any kind of rivalry. They're like, no, you're brothers, you love each other. This is not how you need to treat family.
Cool it down a little bit.
Yeah, chill out. We would wrestle, sword fight, ride bikes, who could ride the fastest bike, or whatever. But I always kind of knew Mark was ahead a few years, so it's like, what's the point of stressing about it? It's just how it is. But I go on to outweigh him, but we ended up being the same height, so everything kind of worked out at the end. Some brothers have pretty strong rivalries, but a lot of those bonding moments, like fishing with dad or building Legos or studies with mom, that really helped make some strong family bonds and ties together.
It wasn't always like you're trying to keep up or do the same as me. It was like we were very different, yet didn't care. So.
And that really helped for Lego Masters too, because literally we could have been twins. We really could have. And I think that was super helpful for the teamwork on that.
And you could tell in Lego Masters that you were very supportive of each other.
Sometimes we'd butt heads.
I think maybe there was one time somebody kicked over something.
I tripped on a cord.
You tripped on a cord or something. That was the only time I saw any hint of irritation between the two of you. That was always just very evident.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you talk to you two, you take turns deferring to each other in a conversation. Mm-hmm. And I would like to think that a lot of that is because of your homeschool training. The people that you've been around, that just your mom's been with you every step of the way, training you in life.
Exactly.
I actually have a comment on that, because if you look at the school system as it is now and as it was back then, everyone's divided by their age. So it's very hard for someone, even only a few years apart, to identify with someone younger or older.
Right.
It's very hard for them. But my sister is half a decade older than I am, and we all learned together in the same room. We were doing different work, but we were always learning together, and we had no trouble socializing with anyone outside of our age group, no problem whatsoever. And I've seen that a lot in public school. You're so limited to this one sort of group of people, and you're terrified to go out of it because, that grade is beneath me. I'm moving on from that, and holy cow, this grade is way bigger and better than me. So it puts you in your place in a weird way. And homeschooling does away with pretty much all of that.
That one-room schoolhouse concept, I think, is a really good thing. I mean, I was concerned because my son works with Mark at the store, and I was concerned the first couple of times that Grant wanted to go and hang out with guys from the store, because I thought, well, they're older than him. I don't know, but that it doesn't make a difference to me. Everybody has these interests, and even if he's one of the younger ones, it's just, that's been a really nice
I don't even know how old Grant is. It never comes to mind.
He's 48.
That was excellent. Does he have the DeLorean?
Yeah, no. He's 16, actually.
Oh, okay. So I've never known. Yeah, it never comes to mind.
Well, I think that I've asked you everything that I want to ask you for this video. We're going to do a tips video as well. But just real quick, if you want to tell people where they can find you, and we'll have links for them too, but where's, maybe one or two places where they can find you.
What you got, Stephen?
So just Instagram and Flickr. I don't have a Facebook, but Flickr is Brother Steven, and Instagram is Brother Steven 100. Yeah. I couldn't get the full Brother Steven. I was very disappointed, so I had to add the 100. But yeah, that's where you can find me. I'm uploading images.
You can also just Google Brother Steven Lego.
It'll come up pretty easily.
And you've got we should have put it over here. Well, I'm going to.
Oh, yeah.
He has this book.
That's on my website, Brother Steven Builds. I forgot to mention
BrotherStevenBuilds.com.
Yeah, .com.
This is the inner workings of a Lego mind.
Do you want me to give a quick summary of that?
You can.
We're right here, So this book is a gallery book. I was inspired by this, the Ultimate Lego book, and then I have my own. So this is what inspired me, and I wanted to do one of,
And that's self-published, right?
It's self-published. My mom, she has a side thing where she publishes books. She's very good at it.
Yes.
And this is all some of my favorite works. Not everything, but most everything. I think there's like 500 pictures in here. And you can find this on my website. I go through all the cool techniques and techniques that I left behind, some that I learned along the way. I talk about my older builds, my newer builds. And it's a great resource if you want to look at a little window into
how to get inspired to build stuff.
How to get inspired, a little
Yes.
window in Lego community. So that's available on my website, Brother Steven Builds. It's also on Amazon. It's kind of the same thing. But that's that.
It's also on the floor of Grant's bedroom. Because he's been reading this book.
Does it have an autograph on it?
No.
Ooh,
he probably
I gotta
has
change
seen an
that.
autograph. Yes. Okay, and where can we find you?
Yes, so I am Mark of Falworth, which is my Lego pen name, and or just you can also just Google Mark Erickson or Lego or Mark of Falworth Lego. Yeah, and
Winner season 2.
Yeah, exactly.
One, two. Yeah.
On Instagram, Flickr, and I have a Facebook page, Mark of Falworth Creations, if you're on Facebook. And then my website is markoffalworth.com, all one word. And I have a lot of T-shirts like this one here, and Steven has T-shirts on his website. So definitely worth checking out. And if you want to, I'm at the Atlanta Brick Coast. If you come during the week, you might be able to see me there. So definitely worth visiting and checking that out.
We've had some readers that have made a special trip through Atlanta. I think last week I had a mom and her 3 kids that came. They were asking you about the brown bricks and stuff. So and they're just right off the interstate, so it's easy to get there and everything. So if you want an epic homeschool field trip, come to Noonan, Georgia at the Atlanta Brick Company.
It's worth checking out for sure.
Yes.
We'll talk
Okay.
about brown bricks and tips there. We'll talk about brown bricks. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about brown bricks in the tips video.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm just so glad you guys sat down with us. We've been wanting to talk to you, and a lot of these people have been, following Grant since he was a little 5-year-old aspiring Lego builder.
Wow.
And so now all these boys and girls are up in high school, and now they started watching you, so they're ready to take the next step with Lego. So I think they'll be inspired through this. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. We really appreciate
Thanks for having us.
Excellent.